Good morning. Today, we're gonna try to do a day in the life video on the new Galaxy phone. I'm going to basically just go around my normal day and use the phone as my normal device. My SIM card is in here. I've installed all my apps, all the normal things. I'm just gonna use it literally as if it was my phone and just kind of check in and talk about it and kind of my first impressions and how I feel about it, as well as checking on the battery every now and then and see how that's performing, because that's something I'm really curious about. So, first things first, I'm gonna need some coffee, but I'm gonna get some on the way to the gym. Coffee, check. First thing I want to talk about is the case that this comes with, right? Fair warning, I don't like cases. I never put them on any of my phones. I feel like I want to see the phone. I want to see like that quality, that design, etc. But, so hear me out, but I don't like this because, one, I don't think it looks very good. And then there's things like these cutouts. It just seems like, you know, it's not the most precise thing in the world. It's a little like plasticky kind of feeling, even though it's Kevlar. Honestly, I would rather it come with a case that was just like hard plastic and see-through so that I can still see the device. I guess it's nice that they gave us something with the phone. On that note though, it's a $2,000 phone, so I put the case on it. So, not in shape. Real quick though, these are waterproof, sweatproof, at least figured that out, but these come with the Galaxy Fold, which I think is a nice touch considering that it does not have a headphone jack. So they just include this, probably helps with the price a little bit, not by much, but a little bit, and then it kind of just is your wired headset. There's no other headset. If you want more of what comes in the box, I did an unboxing recently and some of my first impressions, I'll link that below. Okay, showered, gym is done. During the gym, I was using the phone as I normally would, messaging people, using WhatsApp. I actually ended up watching a 17-minute YouTube video in landscape and in portrait mode, just kind of see how that looked, of DRIFTWOOD, who I'm a big fan of. He's kind of like a master filmmaker. I learned about him on Instagram stories, and like, you just have to go check him out if you're into that. I'll leave a link below to him. In addition to that, I was using Spotify, basically the whole time, streaming to the earbuds. So we had about 17 minutes of the YouTube video, and then all the other time of that hour on the bike, I was listening to music, and then the walk home, which was maybe like 5-10 minutes. But let's check the battery, see where we're at. Well, it's 11:07 now, and we are at 80%. Okay, so first I want to talk about the outside screen and the inside screen. Something that I'm sure we're all very curious about, right? So far, it kind of feels like that the outside screen to me is like this secondary screen. The main screen I find myself always using is the inside one, the much larger one. It's much easier to use. It's a pleasure to use because it's a tablet size, and this is the whole concept, right? The outside screen is almost like too small for me to really want to sit there and use it for a long period of time. But I've actually realized that with One UI, if you continue to use that and not put like Nova like I would normally do, you actually get two different home screens. The outside screen is a completely different layout than the inside screen. So you can actually put things on the outside screen that I need access to quickly. So like my music when I'm walking around, my clock to set my alarm, some other little things like maybe to answer a message here and there when I'm just on the go, but typing on there is kind of difficult. I put on the Gboard so that I can swipe, and that makes it a little bit easier, but it's not ideal. And then, when I open the phone, all of the apps that I normally use, my normal layout is actually there. I've removed the phone though, because I'm never gonna use the phone app with it open, and I leave that on the outside screen. Something else that's interesting is the continuity feature, and this is something that actually apparently is going into Android itself, because like it or not, there's gonna be a lot more of these foldable phones, especially considering how many of these sold already. It kind of shut down the Samsung website. But you can do things like maps, for instance. You can open the map and start navigating on the outside screen, and then when you open the inside screen, it leaves right where you left off and it resizes automatically. There are some apps though that are like Twitter, for example, that if you try to use it on the outside screen, when you open, it kind of makes it into that same, kind of like a squished with two black bars on the side, and it tells you like this cannot be resized. apps that cannot be resized like that, it'll ask you to tap a button to basically restart them, and then they'll open up in the proper size, but they restart. Okay, now before we head to our first event of the day, let's check on the battery. I've been sitting here at the cafe working, using WhatsApp, using Gmail, all that other normal stuff that I would usually use on my phone, and it is 1:38 p.m. We're at 61%. Okay, while we're headed to this event, let's talk about the camera really quick. Now, I don't want to touch on the rear camera too much because it is identical, essentially, to the Galaxy S10 Plus. Normally in these videos, I would try to compare it against other devices, but I kind of already did that in the Galaxy S10 Plus video. So, I'll link that below if you guys are curious about how this camera stacks up to the other flagships. And then we have this camera on the inside. In other words, this is unfolded, and it looks like I'm trying to record myself on, like, an iPad. Great. But this camera is very similar also to the S10 Plus. There's some minor differences, like aperture is a little bit different on one, like a little slower on one of the two cameras, and a little bit faster on the other, stuff like that. And then we have this one, which is the cover camera, they're calling it. This is actually on the outside of the device above the small screen, and it's a 10 megapixel, and there's only one camera in it. Okay, and that's it for the event. I can't tell you anything about it. There are some cool things in it, but it's all under embargo, so I'm not allowed to talk about it. But stay tuned for more info next week. Otherwise, though, in the meantime, I've been taking a bunch of photos on the phone, on my camera, kind of doing my thing. It's time to check in on the battery. It is now 5:16 p.m., and the phone is at 38%. So I left the last event thinking I had a bit of a walk, so I left a little early, but my last event was there. The next event is here. Guess I'm early. Okay, finished the last event, also under embargo, so I can't tell you anything about it. I'm sorry. But met a friend of mine. We're gonna catch up and have a drink or two. But I'm actually really curious. Lauren, by the way, this is Lauren.
Yeah. Hi.
What do you think of this thing?
All right.
Ready?
Yeah.
I'm curious.
What is that made out of?
So it's made out of plastic.
That's plastic?
Yeah. It's as light as a crease.
But
so,
is there? Ooh. That's cool. Look what it does. It's still there, and then it's like so.
Oh, you're right. It's like right here in the middle.
Yeah. That's so cool.
See, things I would never try to do to this phone. I love this part. It's like trying to close it to see if like you can tell when the refrigerator light turns off. You know, like when is it? When is it? When does it do it? Go, 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 go.
Nope, 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 nope.
See, it's just impossible. Just like the fridge. Would you want something like this?
Yeah.
Really? So wait, I didn't tell you the price.
How much is it?
It's $2,000.
I mean, iPhones are like $1,000.
Fair point. And like, so the way I see it.
Two iPhones.
Right, so you start out using it like this,
okay.
Like any other phone. Although this
and you can
is
do like pretty much everything
crap.
from
Yeah,
here?
it's the same thing, except it's little. Right? I think it's
Cute,
super.
it's fine.
It's cute. Okay, cute. See, again, not something I would say about this phone. So here's the one cool thing about it though. So like you're using it like this. As soon as you do that, it just continues, right? So where it left off, so you can then.
It's like a jitterbug. It's got the big letters for old people.
Yeah, no, you're right. Like I can see that really well. She has a point.
My mom would love
it. We're all set here, and now, really quick, as per the usual, let's check the battery. Basically 10 p.m., 9:57 p.m., and it is at 23%. And there we go. End of the night. It is, as near as makes no difference, 1 a.m. and we are at about 14%. Also, here's some of my screen on time and a bunch of other things you guys might be interested in. That's not too bad. I would say it's better than I thought it was gonna be. I thought that giant screen was gonna kill this phone so fast, but it did a pretty good job. Now I have to really quick talk about the price, right? And what I think about this phone. I definitely think I like it more than I thought I would. I think when I first walked into that room and a bunch of us all kind of did the same thing, we were all expecting, you know, this like prototype-y type thing, and we all picked it up and kind of looked at each other and were like, okay, this is solid. This is a real thing. And frankly, I didn't think I'd realize how much I liked having that large screen. Like I said, again, I use that most of the time when using this device, at least for the short time that I've had it. But it's kind of cool. I don't know how else to put that. The price is nuts. But this is a first gen product, and honestly, the people that want to be the first to have this type of a device, they're the super early adopters. They're the ones that are going to buy this device, and then that will then fund and also make sure that Samsung makes a second gen device, and then that will be better, hopefully less expensive, and we'll get to a point where this type of a concept costs the same as your, say, Note series. In fact, I have a feeling that when it gets to that point, it's going to replace the Note series, but that's just my theory. Now, the other thing that is kind of interesting about that $2,000 price tag is the fact that, like, everybody was complaining about $1,000 phones for the longest time, right? But the truth of the matter is that in the countries that most of those phones are sold, or they're sold in large quantities, are countries like the United States, where we have subsidies, we have payment plans. So nobody ever really sees that $1,000 price tag. They only see $24 a month. And that's that. This is no different. The truth is that I went on AT&T and I saw that this costs $60 a month. To a lot of people, they're willing to spend that and kind of just not think about the $2,000, and it's a very obvious sales technique, but it's gonna make sure, I think, that this phone sells. Now let me know what you guys think in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you guys, as always. I'm gonna keep doing a bunch more videos on this phone while I have it for the short time that I have it, so please make sure you're subscribed, ding the bell next to where subscribe so you can notify when those go live. As always though, regardless, thanks for watching.